Hey, I'm Sarah, and this is the Goddess in Training podcast. This isn't about being perfect or polished or having it all figured out. This is about what happens when you actually start listening to your body, your intuition, your patterns, your truth. I'm asking big questions and having real conversations, sometimes messy and sometimes magical, with people who've lived through it, grown through it, and still don't have all the answers. If you've ever doubted yourself, betrayed your gut, or wondered if you're the only one, you're not. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to another episode of Goddess in Training. I'm your host, Sarah, and today's guest is Sarah Ryan, a certified senior gemologist and jewelry appraiser who not only knows the science behind precious stones, but also sees the stories and soul they carry. We met at a festival, and what started out as a chat about gems quickly turned into a conversation that had me in tears, the kind of stories that remind you how beautiful and surprising life can be. In this episode, Sarah shares how she followed her calling into gemology, the magic that's guided her to her dream home and community, and her deeply moving journey to building her family through IVF and embryo donation. We talk about trusting intuition, manifesting opportunities, and why sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is let go of control and make space for what's meant for you. It's a conversation about stones and stories, about loss and love, and about what happens when you open yourself to the unexpected. I can't wait for you to hear it. Thank you so much for being here. Sarah and I met a couple weeks ago at a festival and started talking first about gems because that's what you do, but then got into some really amazing stories. I remember crying because your stories are so beautiful and you're such a great storyteller.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for sitting down and talking again. Starting out, how did you get into gemology, and was that the path that you chose, or did it choose you?
It chose me 100%. I mean, I was always into gems and minerals like most people, or especially girls. I loved jewelry. I loved anything that sparkled. And so I spent a lot of time as a kid in jewelry stores asking people about the gems that were in the showcases. And so I learned a lot even before I got into jewelry, but I knew it was something that I wanted to do. And when I turned 18, I got a job in a jewelry store. And I worked for a mass market store that sold low-end jewelry and that was a good value is what they said. And my jeweler at the time said, "You have a really good eye for gemstones. You should think about being a gemologist." And I didn't even know what a gemologist was. Right. I said, "A gem what?" And he said, if you want to stay in jewelry and you really want to be able to advocate for your client, you should be a gemologist. And so it was almost like a light bulb went off. And I was just like, you know what? I do want to be a gemologist. So I started looking into how you do that, and the Gemological Institute of America, there's one in New York and there's one in California. I went to the one in New York, and you can get financial aid for it like any other college, but it's basically like a trade school, and you go for about 9 months, and you take a major test every week, and at the end, if you pass all of your exams and everything, you'll become a gemologist. And then the doors kind of open to a lot of different things. So many fields in gemology. But for some reason, I wanted to be an appraiser. Okay. That is what I wanted to do when I got into the gemology field. I wanted to be an appraiser. And I knew I didn't want to come back to Virginia. Virginia is where I grew up, and I wanted to do something different. And so I was just kind of like, let it to the universe. Where am I supposed to be? And one of my professors at GIA had lived in New Mexico, and he knew people in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that's where I ended up landing because I had him as a reference. Okay. And that store was all about education for jewelry appraisers. Okay. And so that's where I started on the educational path towards that through AGS, which is the American Gem Society, taking continuing education with them and working with the great people alongside that jewelry store, which is closed now, but it was Shelton's Jewelers in Albuquerque. So.
Albuquerque is a magical place.
It was.
What other kinds of opportunities came to you while you were there in Albuquerque?
Well, I got married while I was in Albuquerque. Okay. So we were only there 2 years. It was a really short time, but it's so significant in my life. It feels like it was just yesterday. I made amazing connections there. that really carried me on throughout my career and even today. So I really cherish the time that I had there and experiencing the different types of mountains that were out there and the landscape that was out there. The people, the culture, everything was so different than Virginia. Everyone should leave their hometown because it's really what made me appreciate Virginia and come home ultimately because, like, as beautiful as it was, I really missed that Southern hospitality that Virginia has. And so we ended up coming back home, and now I can appreciate it a lot more and appreciate those Blue Ridge Mountains. There's just something about Virginia.
Every day when I see the mountains, I don't know, it's just a reminder to breathe for some reason. Yeah. I was in Northern Virginia with no mountains and definitely breathe a lot better here.
Yes.
Even on hot days, as we were
I've always had a connection to the mountains. I always wanted to live in the mountains, and my husband grew up in the mountains. And when we first moved back to Virginia, we would always drive up to the place where he grew up. And it ended up coming up for sale after we had first moved back. And we knew we could never get it, and we knew we could never afford it. Like, it was just, big house on a lot of land. The house burned down, and everyone was safe. Thank goodness they were safe, and they moved back to the city, and the property became for sale. And we ended up being able to buy that property that my husband grew up on, and it was such a dream. We would go up and we would think about it, think about raising our kids there. We hadn't had kids yet, and we would think about raising our kids up there. And then when it became for sale and it was like possible for us to get it, the most amazing thing happened. We went up there, and my husband, when he was 5 years old, he planted this blue spruce trees with his dad. And it has grown into a massive tree. And a vine was growing up the center of it and choking it out. It was dying. And we went up to this tree, and we promised the tree out loud, if we get this property, the first thing we will do is come and save you and cut this vine down.
Yeah.
And so we got the property. And it was just so divine. We got it for the exact amount, that we needed to. It was amazing. We were settling my mom's estate at the time, and we ended up getting that exact amount of money. It was like my mom bought the property for us, which that's what she would have wanted.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. I get chills as I'm talking about it. And so we get the property. We're up there working, and my husband's cutting down that vine, saving that blue spruce tree, and he's cutting down all the dead foliage at the bottom. And I go over and I'm raking all those dead pine needles up and stuff, and out pop this beautiful, perfect piece of geode. Perfect and white and clean, almost like someone had placed it there, which would have been impossible. Like, it was just beautiful. And so I was working on a rock fairy garden with an old birdhouse that I had found, and I went to take my geode to that spot and place it in the perfect spot by the birdhouse in this rock garden. And my husband said, "Oh my gosh, look up." And above me was flying butterflies. This is the craziest thing. So crazy. And it was like a sign. It really was. And I really believe, like, the land wanted us there as much as we wanted to be there. I really believe that. And we had it for years before we were able to move on it because it had no house. The house burned down. So we would just go up and camp and things like that. And one day my husband, we have a tool shed that didn't burn down because it's farther away. That tool shed, my husband looked around and he said, we could finish this and live in it. And I said, yeah, but we need a tool shed, so we'd have to find another one. And the next day, a shed almost exactly like our tool shed, same dimensions and everything, came up on Marketplace already had electricity and everything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and we were able to place that on our property, and we lived in it for a while.
Wow.
So we built our house.
So there's so much magic.
So much magic in life.
But not everybody, I can hear a lot of people thinking or saying out loud, well, Sarah, you're just really lucky. How do you respond to that?
Yeah. Well, I've had a lot of unlucky moments in my life too. I, suffered for years of infertility. I always knew that I was meant to be a mom, and I always said, why? Why is it so easy for all these other people to have babies and not me? I know I deserve it. I know I would be a good mom. Like, why can't I have this when it's so easy for everybody else? So my husband and I did end up doing in vitro fertilization, and we were lucky enough to have our first child through that. But I suffered 2 tubal pregnancies before that, which was devastating, like, finally getting that positive pregnancy test and then finding out that it's a viable baby, but not in a viable location, and it cannot be moved and it has to be surgically removed, even though you see a heartbeat. It was devastating. So, I went through that twice, and then I had my son.
Yeah.
And then I had a 3rd tubal pregnancy, and then I was like, these tubes have got to go. They removed my tubes. So then it seemed like I would not have more children, even though like I yearned for a second child because I was an only child. I was very lonely. I really wanted to have siblings growing up. And like when my mom died, I had no one to talk to about like, remember that time? I had none of that.
Right.
And so I really wanted for my son to have a sibling, but I wasn't going to do IVF again with the whole harvesting eggs and all of that. My mom died of ovarian cancer. I didn't want to stimulate and all of that again.
Yeah.
So I just left it open. I said, all right, universe, however I'm meant to have a second baby, I'm open to it. And I really felt like I was asking for traditional adoption. I really felt like that was my path. And I was like, just open that door, and I will go.
Yeah.
And so 2 months later, a complete stranger sent me a message on Facebook. They had seen my story on Facebook. We were in the same infertility group. She had also had IVF. She had put in 2 embryos, 1 split, and so she was pregnant with triplets. So she felt like she was done with her family making, and she wanted to donate me her other embryos. So I felt like this is it. This is the door. This is my meant to be baby. So I felt like it was so divine how we came together, and this was my meant to be child. We had lost my husband's good friend, and I kept hearing in my head, like, I want to be remembered. I want to be remembered. And I felt like, am I supposed to name this baby after him? And we didn't want to find out what we were having, but I decided, that I was going to ask my husband, like, should we name the baby Dylan Lane after his friend that had passed? And he thought it was beautiful. And Dylan Lane would go for a boy or a girl. So let's do that. I'm all about name meanings. And my maiden initials are SEA, like the sea. And I thought that was so cool growing up, that it meant the ocean and water. And I'm a Pisces too. And I always wanted to incorporate that SEA into my kid's name, but I didn't like Sean, SEAN, so I just kind of forgot about it. And when I looked up Dylan, it means son of the sea.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Of course it does.
Wow. And he was a boy. And Lane means the path, and the whole embryo donation was the path to my second child. So I just felt like it was just my intuition. It was just all felt like it was meant to be. And then I also said to myself, okay, if this is your meant to be baby and you have a success and you have other embryos left over, what are you going to do with those embryos? I'm going to donate them to someone local, so my embryo donated baby can also grow up with a baby who's in the exact same position as him, and they're related. And so it was so funny. I didn't know who. Yeah. I was thinking who. And someone came up on one of my mom's groups, again on Facebook, from high school. And I remembered her like instantly. We were more acquaintances than we were friends, but she stood out. She was a wrestler in high school, and she was the only female wrestler. Just baller.
Yeah.
So I ended up scheduling a play date with her. She also had infertility and had run out of embryos. And I said, do you want to be sisters, basically? And so I donated her an embryo, and we were able to have genetic babies together. So we have genetic siblings, and they're best friends. Yeah. And we homeschool together, and so they're growing up together. They know that they are related, and we've even visited the biological family, so they're basically just like an extended family. So my kids have extra grandparents and, extra cousins, and it's just a beautiful thing.
It's so beautiful, and it's just kind of the opposite of how our society has gone in terms of thinking about what a family really is. And that we got so ingrained in this nuclear family to the point where we were just so isolated. And it sounds like you've built this huge family, this
Exactly.
huge community, and it's so beautiful.
And I had a very small family growing up, and I really wanted a big family. And, you know, my husband has kind of a small family, one sibling, and he doesn't have any kids. So my kids didn't have any cousins,
Yeah.
you know, and so now they have tons of cousins and just all kinds of extended family. And it's just a beautiful thing. It really is. And my friend that I donated the embryos to, she has sisters, and we all love to just visit with each other and spend time together.
Wow. Wow. That's so amazing. And it's just such a powerful story about families being created in so many different ways and being open to that.
Because there's literally millions of frozen embryos just lying in wait. And, you know, the laws, they're always trying to change the laws. And if they say that, you know, that we can't do, you know, these embryo donations because it might harm the embryo, and embryos are being considered human life. And so they're putting a hold on that, like some legislation wants to put a hold on that and say you can't harm these embryos, so therefore you can't do anything to them, you can't donate them to another family. And so it kind of puts a hold on all of that, and people aren't able to even access these embryos that are really just frozen in time, waiting to be put in the right place and grow into a baby. Like so many people with infertility, you could benefit from embryo donation. The way I did it, I know the family, they donated directly to me, but there are clinics that also have embryos that the families, they've completed their family, and so they donate them to the clinic, and then they're available for people to adopt.
Okay. I didn't know anything about that. I know a little bit about IVF, not that I had to use it myself, but I actually tried to be a gestational surrogate for 3 different families, and unfortunately was unsuccessful, and it was the last embryo for 2 of the families. And then the 3rd family was like, oh, she's had 3 failures now, so I think
it's so devastating.
But just to be on the other side of it, and I so much wanted to help give that gift of life and family to people. I felt a real calling to do it, but then I did not know how hard it is. The hormones and and then the emotional aspect of it too. There was distance between me and the family, so I wasn't super attached to their outcome. Their outcome was not my outcome. And so, but still, there were definitely feelings of like, why didn't this work? Why? Yeah. But the success rate is so low.
Yeah, which made my first son's, he was a first-time success, so amazing. I thought, well, I'll never have infertility again because I had 8 other embryos and none of them gave me another baby. So to me, they just weren't my meant to be. Like, I was supposed to go through the path that I did to have the child that I was meant to have.
So how have you, with all of this magic that's happened in your life, the times when things don't work out, how do you keep that faith?
You know, it's so hard to stay positive. I mean, I remembered like the years of infertility being so down and waking up so down. I used yoga a lot. Yoga, meditation. I wanted to say my inner strength, but that really came from those practices. A lot of focus on myself. And that's what I really think people should do when you're going through a really hard time and you really have no control over it, because I really had no control over it. Try to focus on yourself, your health, what makes you feel good. And at the time, for me, that was yoga and filling my body with good things, adaptogenic herbs. I'm huge into adaptogenic herbs and essential oils. I got into all of that stuff around the same time, and now I don't feel like I can live without it. So all of that stuff really just helps ground you and helps get you out of your funk. I mean, every once in a while, I have terrible anxiety issues, and I used to have anxiety attacks, and now I don't, because I feel it coming, and I can have my tools, my oils, and I can sit there for a second, breathe deep, meditate, and it really, it makes all the difference in the world. I think everyone should get into herbs and oils.
Yeah, I agree. I don't use them as frequently. Actually did a yoni steaming for the first time.
Yeah, I love to try.
Yeah, but it got me connected to the herbs again. Yeah. And like it kind of opened something up in me that I need to be doing that on a regular basis. Not necessarily the steaming, but integrating herbs
It takes you somewhere. Like you really sit with it and breathe your oils in or whatever, drink your tea, whatever it is. It feels nourishing. Feels like you're putting something back in that is depleted.
Yeah, definitely. Talk a little bit about what manifestation means to you, because I think so often people think that it's intention, or if you think hard enough that it will happen. And it seems like you have manifested this beautiful life for yourself. What do you think of when you think of the word manifestation? And do you believe that you've manifested?
I believe in manifestation. I mean, I really believe in positive thinking and manifestation, but it doesn't mean everything is going to be perfect. And sometimes it does feel like things are out of control. And like, again, you have no control. This all comes back to letting go of control. I have a problem with control and wanting to control everything. And sometimes you really just have to let it go and sit in the silence to be able to hear what it is that you're supposed to do next, because we get so caught up in just the rolling of life, and I must do and I must complete and I must accomplish. And sometimes we really need to stop and just listen. And I feel like that's what it was with, asking about what is my next step with my infertility. I've come to a halt. Like, I went through all of these embryos, we spent all this money, and I really believed with all of my heart, especially those last 2 embryos. I believed my meant to be baby was in there because they were my last 2 embryos, and I was devastated when it didn't work.
Right.
And it was just like, okay, all right. So this wasn't that. What is it? And you just, being quiet and not just trying to, I think we get into dumpster scrolling on our social medias, especially when we're stressed out and because we just want our minds to stop thinking about the things that we're stressed about. But sometimes we have to sit in that quietly for those answers to come to help us get to the next level, the next step, whatever that is. Even in my business, when the first 5 years of my business, when I opened my business being an appraiser, it was pounding the pavement. It was introducing myself to people, trying to figure out where was I going to get business. And I remember sitting in my office chair and just being like, okay, I need some business. And maybe within an hour, maybe within a few days, always get a call and be like, wow, there it is. And now I'm finally to the point where I've got great connections with the independent stores that I work with and do appraisals for, and work in my office and with my local community, that I don't have to constantly do that. But a lot of times I was just pounding and nothing was working. And it wasn't until I stopped and said, okay, I need it to come to me. Let the answers come, and they would.
Some people have described that as getting some kind of frequency, like taking yourself to the frequency that will then attract the things that are meant for you. Have you experienced that in your life?
Talking about frequencies, it takes me back to essential oils. Essential oils all have frequency.
Right.
And there are, things that it seems like it brings you abundance, and I feel like certain oils, they almost like, they give you that confidence that you need.
You're right.
There are definitely certain, maybe it's different for everybody, but for me, those certain oils that just make me feel confident and help me go to the next step, like, especially if I'm having anxiety because a new client is coming in, or I'm going to be on a podcast.
You don't strike me as somebody who has
used my oils.
Okay.
I have them right. Actual.
You seem very grounded.
My favorite oil in the world is Valor, and it has blue tansy and frankincense and all these amazing, and it's
citrusy.
It really helps.
To the moment, where you really believed that one of these last 2 embryos, and you probably felt, I've had these moments where like, oh, well, this is my intuition, and I really know, it was a knowing. I know that this is going to happen, or I know that this relationship is meant to be my soulmate. And then you were wrong. Did you have to go through a process of healing and trusting yourself again?
Absolutely. And then you almost have to let yourself cry, let yourself feel all those feelings of, okay, it didn't work, you weren't right this time, but it doesn't mean you're not right. I never faltered in that I am meant to be a mom of a second child. Like, I had such a great pull that I just knew, and it was as devastating as it was. And I mean, I melted into a pile of mush. But I was able to pick myself back up and say, okay, it wasn't that one, but that doesn't mean we're done. That doesn't, like I never stopped fighting. And I've always been stubborn that way. It's a Sarah trait.
It might be. I can be quite stubborn.
It's like this.
Especially when somebody says I can't do something.
Don't tell me I can't prove to you. Actually, I was working at a local pawn shop, and I wanted to be a gemologist, and someone I worked with said, "Oh, you can't just be a gemologist. You can't just go and be a gemologist. I've been in this business 15 years. I'm not a gemologist."
You're like, all right, watch me.
They still work at that same pawn shop.
We have to believe. I mean,
you have to believe in yourself.
Magic is possible.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It is everywhere.
Yeah.
And speaking aloud means a lot. Like, we think in our head all the time, but there is something about the breath and speaking it out, what you want. Like, sometimes you really have to just, whether it's in the night, at the moon, or in your office seat, or in the car, when you feel it and you're passionate about it, say it out loud in that moment, because there's power in that moment.
There is. Yeah. People talk about like transforming things, alchemizing things, and it's like taking it from here or here and pushing it out into the world.
Yeah. And finding this office was that for me. I went through a lot of trying to find an office. I worked out of my home, but I needed a place to be able to meet my clients. And so I had an office closer to home that was in the smaller town. And then I had this amazing person come into the shared workspace, and her business just grew and grew and grew to the point there was no room for me anymore. And so it was no fault of hers. It was just her business grew, and now fills that whole location. So it was like I needed to find a place, and I wasn't having luck. I was going to all these different places trying to find where I fit in. And then finally I found this place, and it was Facebook again. Everything was on Facebook. I sound so old, but my husband had put on Facebook that we were looking for an office, and someone that he played soccer with said, "Oh, my parents have this building downtown." And I was like, "Oh, downtown, that is where I want to be. I would love to be downtown." Yeah. And this building used to be an old windows and doors place, and it's been empty. It had been empty since COVID, and the people who had it prior to COVID, they had rented the entire upstairs. So they really wanted to rent the entire upstairs, but couldn't find anyone because, as you saw, this is a really big location. So I came in and I started renting this one spot. And for a while, I had someone next to me, and she had a baby, and she left. And before I knew it, I was the only person left. And I felt like the owners are getting older, and they weren't getting any tenants. And I felt like they don't have any reason not to sell this place. I knew my little one rent wasn't going to keep the place afloat. It's just to pay the electricity on the place. Yeah. And so I brought to the attention of the owner, who I'm really good friends with, and who believes in all the woo things and all the manifestation. Thank goodness she's into all of that. I said, why don't we have a festival? And we'll do a festival that is what we like. It's all about the things we like. So the woo, the manifestation, the art. And so we called it the Art and Soul Festival. And it was incredibly successful. We had 20 vendors. We had sound bath. We had a whistler, which I didn't know what to expect, but she was absolutely amazing. Whistler, she could whistle almost any song. She also plays piano and ukulele, and she's just amazing. But we also had someone doing a sound bath with the bowls and all of that, and the two of them work really well together. We had henna art, and we had people who were selling like artisan artwork and home decor. We had readers. We had someone doing angelic light channeling. We had a little bit of everything. We had an essential oil person. We had someone doing herbs. It was really good, and everybody felt amazing. At the end of it, everyone said, yes, this is what our community needs. This is what we need. So we're having another one. We didn't know that it was going to be so successful, but it was so successful. Everyone says you need to do another one. So we did one in April, and now we're doing another one September 6th.
Anybody in the Lynchburg area, we can put that in the show notes.
Yeah, downtown Lynchburg, Commerce Street, and you'll put it in there. But yeah, so everybody come, everyone who's into that sort of thing. It was absolutely just amazing. Everyone who left felt like uplifted.
Mm-hmm.
And we had amazing raffles. So it was only $5.
Wow.
Kids are free.
But it's just such a great story in the sense of, and this is what I found in my life. It's people think about life can feel so hard sometimes, but it doesn't have to be. It's like that. Like you get an idea, oh, that feels good.
Yeah.
And then it comes to fruition. You're like, that felt really good.
Yeah.
Let's do that again. And just leaning into the things that feel good and then just turning away from the things that don't feel good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I really stressed, you know, that my event, I wanted it to be a success for my vendors. But I really didn't need to stress about it because one of my vendors kept saying, the people who are meant to be there will be there. The people who are going to get the benefit will come. And she was right. It was like that day we were a magnet for the right kinds of people and for the people that needed the event. So I really hope for the same thing. And because really that I feel like the more that we come together as a community, the more that people will feel comfortable with this and that it's okay to manifest your good. It's not weird. It's actually what we all should be doing. We should all be manifesting the things that we want in our life.
And there's a great shift happening. I think a lot of us can feel it. And to see things like that happening in a place like Lynchburg, if you're not familiar with Lynchburg, it's kind of a conservative Christian hotbed. And to see so many healers here is just really encouraging. Like people are stepping outside of their comfort zone and being open to things that are different than what they've been taught their entire lives.
I felt like it would be hard to find people as vendors and everything, but it was not. I had an overwhelming number of people reach out to me and it was great. And people met each other that had not met before. And that was great to see them facilitate ongoing relationships and, you know, having dinners and coming together and doing drum circles and workshops. And it's really opened up a lot. The event has opened this space up to that. So now we have the Sound Bath Girl is going to come and do a workshop and we're hoping to have more and more of that. We could have yoga here. I mean, you saw the big open space, so much we could do here. And the space just feels amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And so you're a gemologist, which doesn't seem to match necessarily. But one thing that you said at the beginning about becoming an appraiser and how you can advocate for your clients, is that something that really spoke to you? Do you see yourself really as an advocate?
I do. When people come to me, I want them to know what they have. And sometimes I have to be the bearer of bad news, but most of the time, more than not, I'm actually giving people information that they love. I mean, I can see things in stones that other people can't because of my microscope and just knowing what to look for. I mean, I have brought stones back to life and love for a person because of something simple, like diamonds can have a gemstone inside of it.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
and sometimes there'll be a little garnet or some diopside or something in there, and you can see it with the microscope, and it's amazing, and it's a miracle that it's there and it didn't incinerate and, you know, make people fall in love with it all over again, or fluorescence that I was showing off at the festival. Like, a lot of people don't even know that their stone glows. It just feels good. I love beads. You'll always see me wearing beads because I just feel like just stone on skin feels so good without having the metal. And I believe in the power of the stones. Now, being a gemologist, I know more about the scientific side, like what colors them and what minerals are in them and things like that. But a lot of my friends know the metaphysical side. So between the two of us, we can tell you pretty much anything what you want to know about it.
Do you have any standout stories from clients about a piece of jewelry or a gem and its life, its story, or how it's affected the lives of the people around it?
Well, most of the time, it's like you never know what's going to make someone fall in love with something. Like my cousin, he fell in love with his wife's diamond because the inclusion looked like a butterfly, and he loved that about it. And I mean, I love talking about the miracle that it is that we even have gemstones because, like, you know, diamonds especially, they're created so deep in the earth and they're brought to the earth with volcanic eruption. It's under such heat, pressure, and intensity. They should be incinerated. I mean, they shouldn't even. So I love talking about that. It's just even a miracle that we have them, and how amazing earth grown stones are, that the earth made that the right amount of minerals and pressure and everything came together in this perfect little pot right here in the earth, and it made this beautiful gemstone. Like, how is that?
And it's such a beautiful metaphor for life.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I love my, I'm into jewelry, but I also love my minerals, and I love seeing how something came out of the earth like that. It's just like that geode. When I popped that out of the earth, it was just...
Yeah. So where does that geode live now? Still in your yard?
Yeah, it still lives with my fairy garden with my other minerals. Yeah.
My gosh. What, besides oils and yoga, do you have any other regular practices that you do to tap into your intuition or just to ground yourself?
I mean, I really need to do more. I mean, talking about it, it's just making me realize that I need to do more of the, meditating and getting back into yoga. But what I do the most of now, because I have so little time,
with motherhood,
with 2 kids who are now 12 and 7, is, it only takes a few seconds to put on some oils and smell them really deep. So that is my biggest practice. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm obsessed with oils. And you can come into my office and people are like, oh, I know where she is. Just follow the scent. There she is. So that is what I do the most of as far as to ground myself, or if I just need to reset. I mean, just recently I had a lot of anxiety over my cousin's getting married this Saturday, and I had her husband's wedding band.
Oh, okay.
And when I got it back, I just felt like it was so tight. And I was like, there's no way this man's finger is this small. There's just no way. And I about had an anxiety attack over it. And my husband was like, we'll take it to him immediately. And the whole way I'm smelling my oil. The whole way I'm like, I don't know why. I just thinking about that ring being too tight just freaked me out. It was like, all on me. The wedding's all on me. And I ended up going to his business and went on like butter. Crisis averted. The whole time I was smelling my oils and just trying to remind myself that this is not the end of the world. You can fix this. Like, sometimes we just get so wrapped up in our thoughts that you just can't get past it, And even people who have all the right practices and do all the right things are still going to have those moments. And that we need to realize that it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to have those moments, and let yourself have the moment too. If you need to cry, if you need to sleep, reset and then come back.
That's why community is so important. It's so easy to feel so isolated. And then on social media, you're looking at all these people and it's this polished version of their lives. And then you're like, well, they don't appear to be having any kind of hardship, but in reality, they are.
Probably more than you think.
Exactly.
Too.
Yeah. Even the highest healers, the highest elevated people that you can think of, they all have struggles.
Yes.
And I think that sharing those struggles, I just wish we did more of that, actually.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. And that's, why I'm trying to facilitate more of this, with the Art and Soul Festival, and bringing people together so they can have those alternative therapies that work, like deep breath work. That's a huge one, our deep breath work lady that we had here for the festival. It made me think of my labor, because I had a 25-hour all-natural labor, and I used breath work to get through it. And it was amazing. He was saying that you can use that to get you through anything. Yes. So she had terrible panic attacks, couldn't go to the grocery store or the bank, terrible panic attacks, and she was able to overcome it with her breath work. So, I mean, who would think, breath work? So it's amazing. It's amazing how you can do something so, it seems simple, but it's so powerful.
And there are so many different paths. And it's kind of choose your own adventure. And you learn about new things every day. And in the same way that, clients come to you, or the people who at the festival need to be at the festival were there, the modalities that are going to help us often will just pop in via Facebook or into our consciousness in some way.
Yes.
And the plant medicine thing that I did, I'd been thinking about it for a long time, and it popped up as a Facebook ad. And I was like, oh, that's easy. And it just flowed, and it was a transformational experience. And that just happens over and over and over again, that if you leave yourself open and you get rid of as much fear possible to make space for opportunity, it just flows.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So what are you excited for? What's coming up next in your life?
Oh my gracious. July is crazy. I have so many gym shows that I'm doing. I'm really happy that I get to take my family with me. I get to take my husband with me, and my youngest, my oldest is staying. But they get to go and experience it with me. At the gym shows, I do appraise jewelry and I identify gems. People bring me gems that they don't know what they are, and I'll identify them, or even gems from the gym show just to make sure that they are what they're supposed to be. I'll identify those, and it's just a lot of fun. I always get something really unique and different, and like the minerals on my desk have all come from gem shows, and so I always come home with something new and name it. So all of my minerals have names. I take different ones to the gym shows and show them off. And I don't sell gems at the gym show. I'm selling my services, but all of them are things you can get at the gym show. So I like to, show them off.
What's the most comical name that you have for a gem?
Well, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Which one?
It's the gray rock. Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I call him Hercules for short.
That is hilarious.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is Hercules. And he's a Herkimer diamond, if you can see that, which is actually in the quartz family. It's just a clear quartz. But they come out of the ground almost in the same shape as a diamond.
Look at that.
See that? And he kind of looks like the side of a face.
He does.
So he's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Hercules. Yeah, I love him. And then all the little tiny sparkles. I don't know if the camera can see that, but there's tiny sparkles all over it, and those are all tiny Herkimer diamonds.
Oh my God. Wow.
I actually know the guy that pulled this out of the ground. You can pull these out of the ground at the Ace Mine in New York. And they have a commercial side and a public side. And the commercial side, they, get all the good ones, and then they throw the scraps over to the public side. And so my friend was there, and he was looking for a spot to dig, and there was this other guy there, and he had color-coded piles because he had been there for like days. He'd been camping. And he told my friend, you go over there, away from me, over there, and you look. So he did. He meandered over there. And he said he dug a little bit, and he found some Herkimer diamonds. And he thought, okay, once he dug a little bit more, and a pocket fell out as big as his body. And he crawled in it, and he pulled out a Herkimer diamond as big as his fist.
I bet that guy who sent him over there was regretting his life.
Yeah, he said he shined it up. And the guy saw him over the hill, just cuts it. Yes. And I love that. I love minerals that have a story.
Yeah.
And jewelry is fun, but minerals seem to tell a story.
And have an energy. Like, do you connect to, can you feel different energy?
For some reason, I don't know as much as the metaphysical side as my friends do, but I gravitate towards this strand. This is adventuring here.
Okay.
And for some reason, I gravitate towards adventuring. I just feel it's calming. I wore it intentionally today because I was going to be on this podcast, wanted to stay calm. So I wore my adventuring. It makes me feel good. I love to feel them and rub my hands over them. And yep. So, and I love jade. Jade every day. Jade is like a living stone. It's definitely changes like color as you wear it, can get deeper, and it's just an amazing stone. Oh, and amber. Amber is a very healing stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tree sap. You gotta love that. I have some red amber, green amber, orange amber, yellow amber, and it feels amazing on.
Yeah, I got them for my babies, and then I ended up stealing them and wearing them.
Yes, they feel so good.
They do.
At the gym show, there is a lady that's all she does is amber.
Oh, okay.
She's the amber lady, and I love her.
Well, and you look like the sea today too.
Yeah,
it's all ocean colors.
Thank you. Like the sea. That's right. I'm wearing teal today because my son has a swim meet tonight, and their color is.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
This was such a great conversation, as I knew it would be.
Yeah.
And so, I'll make sure that everybody knows where they can find you and reach out if you're ever at a gem show, and come meet Sarah and hear more.
Come meet me. We have wonderful brunch all around town and wonderful shopping. Make a day of it and come see a gemologist. I got a tattoo lady next door. I didn't even say that.
For what?
I manifested her. I needed someone else to rent, and I ended up getting my tattoo girl to come over here, and she's just amazing, amazing energy. And I would just love to fill this entire space with strong entrepreneurs.
I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Women.
That's what I'm manifesting right now.
Come back and we'll do a follow-up episode and get everyone together and show the manifestation that you created. Thank you so much.
Yeah. This way to spend the day with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Goddess in Training. I hope something in this episode stirred your knowing or softened your heart. If it spoke to you, share it with someone who needs it, or leave a review or comment to help others find us. If you're watching on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to hear more conversations like this, please consider supporting Goddess in Training on Patreon. For more tools and offerings to deepen your intuition practice, visit goddessintraining.online. You can also join the Scroll of Seshat on Substack for twice-weekly stories of how I followed my intuition. The music for Goddess in Training is Madre Ayahuasca by Arkawa, and you can find more of his music and the link to his website in the show notes. Remember, your intuition is not a mystery, it's a memory. Keep listening.
Resplandor del fuego, estrellita, tabaco santo, fuerza de rape, soplo de luz, soplo encantado, viajecito, bendición del cielo, fortaleza, tigrecito de